Alright, grade 9, I hope that you are doing well. Okay, I hope that you are doing well, grade 9, and I hope that everything turns out to be great. So, first of all, we have started last week speaking about the new part of unit number 8, which is the achievement of the Muslim civilization. We have spoken a lot about the achievement of the Muslims and how the Muslims lived for a variety of achievements and also variety of knowledge and science that other people started to follow up till very later in the civilization. So let's start first our session today by watching a little video about the Muslim achievement and advances in science.
Education and respect for learning are central to the Muslim religion. Because studying the Quran is so important for Muslims, during the Abbasid dynasty, both boys and girls received elementary education where they were taught to read and write. Also during this time, Baghdad became a major center of learning. Scholars from across the world came to the city to study math, science, and medicine. Many of their discoveries are still in use today. Astronomy was a huge area of study for Muslims during this time. In observatories across the Muslim world, scientists studied the Earth's rotation and its relationship to the sun and the moon. They even figured out a way to measure the Earth's circumference to within a few thousand feet. Many tools developed during this time were used around the world to help with navigation. Sailors, for instance, could figure out their location and direction by using tools to measure their distance from the stars. Muslim scholars also made big discoveries in mathematics. The numbers that we use today come largely from Arabic numerals. The Persian mathematician Al-Khwarizmi developed the study of algebra, a form of mathematics we use every day. In fact, the word algebra comes from the Arabic word al-jabar. Health and medicine were also important to Muslims. The government set up hospitals where the sick and injured could get quick care. Physicians were required to pass tests before they could practice medicine. And an emphasis on treating both mind and body led to faster, more successful recoveries. And that's not all. Doctors learned new surgical techniques, like how to treat cataracts. They explored treatments for common illnesses like measles and smallpox. And they learned how to mix medicines into sweet-tasting syrups. A famous doctor from the time, Ibn Sina, wrote an encyclopedia of many of the known treatments and diagnoses at the time. His canon on medicine was used across the Arab world and in Europe. In fact, this area of the world became so well known for its advances in medicine that European physicians began to attend Muslim universities in order to train with the best doctors. How did Muhammad's respect for learning inspire Muslim advances in science and math?
So, as we have seen right now, guys, about this area of medicine and the advancement of the Muslim civilization and the science, we have already spoken about that last Thursday, and we said that Muslim people, they were very excellent while speaking about the knowledge and also the advancement of their civilization. The Muslim people also, they took great interest in all fields of science and also all fields of technology. We will have the astronomers, we will have the physicians, we will have the doctors, we will have the inventors. All types of people lived at that specific era of the Muslim world. They helped to shape our civilization and put a variety of achievements for our own culture, followed later by thousands and millions of scholars and scientists all over the globe. Even we have some doctors and physicians whom other people started to follow and never given the opportunity to be doctors or physicians until they studied their own work, like Ibn Sina, and we have Al-Khwarizmi in mathematics, Ibn Sina in medicine, we have also Al-Zahrawi in medicine, and a lot of other great scholars and physicians and scientists whom shaped our own Islamic civilization. Those all people left a variety of achievements for our Muslim civilization. So, to start, please, page 269. We'll speak first about the economics and the social change. How did the economy and the social change during the period of those great scholars and scientists? So, Frayan, can you start, please? Do you have it for Ayan? Abdullah, do you have a mic? Al-Khudair, Abdul Muhsin, Abdul Rahman.
Yes.
Abdul Rahman, can you read?
Okay. Economic and social change. Diffusion of learning. The great works produced by scholars of the Abbasid period shaped Muslim culture and civilization. Through contacts in Spain and Sicily, Christian European scholars began to study Muslim philosophy, art, and science. Muslim scholars also reintroduced knowledge of Greek-Roman civilization to later Europeans.
Continue, please.
Muslim ideas spread to other regions as well. In North Africa, for example, Arab Muslims settled and spread Arab customs, traditions, and language. Muslim rulers united diverse cultures, including Arab, Persian, Egyptian, African, and European. Later, Mongols, Turks, Indians, and Southeast Asians joined the Muslim community. Muslim civilization absorbed and blended many of their traditions.
So, we're speaking first about the diffusion of learning. Diffusion of learning. What do you mean by the diffusion of learning? To start with, we'll speak about okay, how the great works produced by scholars and other scientists at the Abbasid period shaped the Muslim culture and civilization, meaning that those scholars, those scientists, those physicians, astronomers, all people who sought for knowledge at that period started to shape our own civilization. Throughout the contract and the contacts between Spain, Sicily, and also the Christian Europe scholar, all of them began to study the Muslim philosophy. And here we need to stop. We have spoken about how every civilization over the course of history started to take great interest in its own development. How people in Egypt, Egyptian civilization, people in Mesopotamian civilization, Indian civilization, Chinese civilization, people in Greek, people in Rome, people in America, all of them they started to take great interest in science and development. But the question here is, okay, we have spoken about how other civilizations started to contract, like people from Greece started to contract with the Egyptian and the Mesopotamian and learned from them. And we said that once you contract with someone, you don't just contract in merchandise and goods, but also in ideas and culture. So once people started to contract with the Muslim civilization, they started to learn from them, started to just learn. Yeah, let's study the Muslim philosophy. Why the Muslim philosophy? In Greek, for example, we had Aristotle, we had Plato, we had many of the great philosophers over the course of history. So why shall we study about the Egyptian philosophy, art, and science? Why the Muslim right now? So what actually makes a difference? Why Muslim civilization is totally separate from that of other civilization? So why shall we study it? Of course, if we look at this, we will find out that people who seek knowledge will always find the best source and learn from it. Once again, people who seek knowledge always search for the best source. Like, for example, Azam, for example, he's the best person I know that can teach mathematics. So I'll go to Azam to learn from him because he's the best one. Ryan, for example, he's super excellent in French. If I need to learn French, I will not go to someone who cannot teach French properly. I'll go directly to Quran. Okay, so people at that time they knew that Muslim philosophy, Muslim art, Muslim science are the best in the world. That's why we find people started to learn and study about the Muslim science, the Muslim philosophy, the Muslim art. And the scholars of the Muslim also they reintroduced the knowledge for the Greek Roman civilization. How to reintroduce it? Because once ago in Athens, the civilization, the knowledge, they were already introduced to the Greek people at the time of Plato and Aristotle, Aristophanes, and all of the scholars and scientists we have already studied about. So that civilization, that knowledge, were once introduced for the Greeks and also the Roman, but later they neglected it. They didn't take great interest in it. But Muslim scholars, they excelled in that areas or in that areas, and that's why they reintroduced that knowledge once again for the Greek-Roman civilization. So let just imagine you invented something, okay, and later you forgot about it. So I take that thing that you have invented and give it to you once again by a new method, by a new ideas, and also by just a new shape. Like, of course, the most great philosopher in the Arab history or the Muslim history. Do you know him? Who's the most well-known philosopher in the Arab history? Who is the most well-known philosopher in the Islamic civilization or the Muslim civilization? Philosopher.
Teacher, he's from Umayyad or Abbasid or what?
Well, actually, he lived under the Umayyad Caliphate in Spain. And people thought that he was or the government back then thought that his ideas or didn't go with the Islamic ideas, so they started to burn down all of his books. His name was Ibn Rushd. His name was Ibn Rushd. Okay, Ibn Rushd, he was a philosopher for an Islamic or a Muslim philosopher, and his ideas actually represents or reintroduced the ideas of Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, and all of the great Greek philosophers once came to us. And he even merged all of these knowledge and ideas with the Holy Quran. How the Holy Quran represents the ideas and how we can manage to find philosophy in our own religion, the Muslim or the Islamic religion. So people now reintroduce the civilization for other people who invented it and the Islamic civilization. That's why we find all people, Christian, European, people from Italy, from Sicily, from all over the world came to study the Muslim philosophy, art, and also science, because at that time we excelled in those areas. Also, the Muslim ideas spread to other regions as well. In North Africa, for example, the Arab Muslims settled and spread the Arab custom, like in Egypt, in Algeria, Morocco, and also the tradition beside the language. And we have spoken about the part of the language. We said that the language is a very, 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 very important thing you must spread, because once people start to learn and speak your own language, they will understand your ideas more easily. Also, the Muslim rulers they united diverse culture, because we have the culture spread from the Indus Valley River until Spain. So we have here the Indian people, we have here the Persian, we have here the people from Mesopotamia, we have here the Muslim, we have here the Egyptian, who were originally Christians. We have here the Algerian, the Moroccan, which were originally barbarians. We have here the Spanish people. Most of them were Christian and diverse people from other civilization. So the Islamic civilization started to merge all of these diverse people, and together all of these people under just one civilization, you need to be just super clear, or you are just presenting them with something that all of them can understand. And by understanding all of this, that's why we find the Muslim united diverse culture. So again, the diverse cultures refers to what? Name the diverse culture under the Islamic rule. If I asked you, for example, in the exam, name the diverse cultures under the Islamic rule, what will you say?
Arab, Persian, Egyptian, African, and Europe.
Bravo. So we have Indian, we have Persian, we have Mesopotamian, we have the Muslims themselves, Egyptian, Moroccan, and all of these people here were barbarians. And also we have in Spain, we have what the Christians and the European. That's great. So these all are to be called diverse cultures. Diverse cultures means different cultures, including Arab themselves, Persian, Egyptian, African, and European. All of these cultures were united and gathered under the Islamic control. Later, also the Mongols, the Turks, the Indians, all of these people also were included and gathered under the Islamic rule, and also the southeast of Asia joined the Muslim community. So we have many diverse people started to join Muslim and the Muslim culture. That's why we find out that the Muslim civilization absorbed and blended many of their tradition. What is the meaning of this? Let's imagine now, for example, Abdurrahman, he is a foreigner, not from our land. And Abdurrahman came to us and we united him with our civilization. And we found out that Abdurrahman, he has some specific traditions. Those traditions are accepted in Islam. So we will take those traditions and we will blend his traditions to our own tradition, and vice versa. Our traditions he will accept and starts to practice also. So now we have an absorbed and also a blendment of traditions. Why? Because we have diverse cultures under the Islamic civilization. So the Muslims, they started to blend, and also they started to what? Started to blend and absorb other traditions and civilization. What's best? Just take it. Salman, for example, he has something good, so I'll take what Salman has because it's good. If it's bad, I'll just neglect it. I will not accept it. Okay? So that's why we found out that Muslim civilization started to unite diverse culture and started to absorb and blend many other civilizations. Okay?
Okay.
Any questions so far?
No.
All right. Does anyone have a mic, guys? Except for Abdurrahman, فريان, خضير, عتيبي, الوادي, الماضي, Azam, Haydari. Come on, it's impossible that we have 19% in the class and only one opens his mic. Hello? I have noise, sorry. Okay, Salman. Huh? It's very just dull to speak alone or just one student speaks with me. Okay. At least if you have a question, try to just write it in the chat if you don't have the mic. If you have any question, just to make sure that you understand. Okay, so if you have any question, just write it in the chat and I'll just stay speaking alone. So trade in the Muslim world. Okay, trade in the Muslim world. What about trade? So surely to speak about trade, we'll just go here to the Muslim world and we will find out that the Muslim civilization stretched all of this area. So if we took a screenshot like this and we went to paint, So we can find out that the Muslim civilization stretched from all of this area. So all of this place was once under the Muslim civilization. So to speak here about trade, we will find out that come on, you're speaking about a diverse culture, Egyptian people. You have the Egyptian people here. You have the Moroccan here, the people from North Africa. You have Spain. You have the Arabian Peninsula. You have the Mesopotamian civilization here. Okay, you have the Persian civilization. You have parts from the Indian civilization. All of that was just one empire, like the Muslim empire. So to speak about all of this empire, once we speak about trade and to speak about how people started to trade with each other, come on, we don't need even to interact with other or outer empires or civilization. Only the people from the Muslim civilization have everything that you can imagine. People from Egypt, they have the minerals. People in North Africa also they have minerals. People in India and in Persia, they have the plants and growing. We will also here they have the farming and the agriculture. So here they have the fish. Come on, so all kinds of merchandise and goods that you can imagine of or think of, you will find in the Muslim civilization. So while speaking about trade, you will just need to come on. All the Muslim people have everything that we can think of. So if I need to merchandise or trade with anyone, we'll just trade with our own civilization and from our own empire. So we found out that merchants were honored in Muslim culture in part because our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has been a merchant before, and also a traditional collection of saying stated that I commend the merchants to you, for they are the sentries of the horizon and also the God's trusted servant on earth. Okay, that's a saying of the Prophet, meaning that people who try to merchandise, okay, the merchants, they are like they spread everything. Remember when we spoke of Spain and we said how the Spanish people were introduced to Islam? Remember that?
What, teacher?
How the Spanish people were introduced to Islam.
Introduced to Islam?
Yeah, how did they know about Islam? The Spanish people in Spain, before they were under the Islamic rule. How did people there in Islam, they were Christians, how did they know about Islam?
I think because of trade.
Yes, because of trade. So the merchants from the Islamic world, they traveled all of this area and they went to Spain and they started trade with the people. And there the people started to absorb the Islamic culture and they started to know a lot about Islam. And later they entered Islam and converted to Islam only because of the merchants and the traders, because they just showed the people how Islam works, how we are super concerned with honesty, with equality, and all of the good manners of Islam. So people in Spain started even to enter Islam before Tariq ibn Ziyad even marched there with his own troops. So that's why we found out that our Prophet, peace be upon him, took great interest in the merchant people and honored them. So between the year 750 and also 1350, merchants built a vast trading network across the Muslim lands and even beyond. Caravans crossed the Sahara into West Africa, where West Africans traded gold and enslaved person for sold bronze, clothes, books, and also ceramics. In turn, North Africans traded gold to Europe in exchange for the European goods, such as peat and utensils, and also provided the gold used in Europe, clothing, art, and also coins. So, because Africa is super rich with minerals, they started to trade minerals from Egypt to other parts of the world. Muslims, Jewish, Christians, traders traveled the Silk Road. Remember the Silk Road?
Yes.
Was it made out of silk?
No.
But it connected what?
Because they traded silk.
It is what? Who traded in silk?
Uh, I think Indians.
No. So the Silk Road, of course, started to stretch from China into India, and then from China started to diverse into Persia, and from Persia also started to go here and other parts like Iran, and later started to go to the Islamic world and also moved here to Europe. And of course, by coming here, now you have connected all of the Islamic world together, along with China, India, Persia, and also all of Europe. So the Silk Road stretched from China to the Islamic civilization and the Muslim. And by that, we found out that the Christians from Europe, also we have Jewish from the Islamic world, they were living here, and Jewish from here, and Muslim from here, Indians, Buddhism, all people started to trade together and started to mingle in one culture, one civilization. Consequently, of course, Islam was introduced to all parts of the world, which was a very good thing for the Muslim people. So Muslim, Jewish, Christian traders all traveled the Silk Road towards China, and we were a vital link in the exchange of goods between East Asia, and also Europe. Monsoon's wind carried Arab ships from East Africa to India and Southeast Asia. Some traders even made great fortunes. And of course, because they started to trade with people beyond their own empire, outer and outside of their own empire. All of that led to the spread of the Muslim goods and also the spread of Islam itself. Spreading the products and the ideas. And once again, while we are trading, we do not just trade goods and merchandise. On the other hand, we trade goods, merchandise, ideas, thoughts, beliefs, you just name it. Okay? So, trading the ideas and also the spreading of the products and the ideas. Trade spread the products, technologies, knowledge, and also culture. Muslim merchants introduced an Indian number system to Europe, where they became known as Hindu-Arabic numerals or Arabic numerals. Traders also carried sugar from India to paper making from China, introducing Islam to many new regions, as people also started to convert to Islam because the merchants they started to spread the ideas and the thoughts and beliefs of Islam, so people started to convert to Islam and also started to learn Arabic, the common language, and religion helped the global exchange grow and thrive. That's important point. So If we come here, we will find out that the Muslim people, they introduced what is known as the Arabic numeral. Do you know that the numbers that we use nowadays in our own English is the Arabic one?
Arabic?
Yes,
How?
I'll tell you how. So, this system of language actually was made by a mathematician of the Arabic civilization, Khwarizmi. That's too big. Okay, so Al-Khwarizmi, he made such numbers based on mathematics. So he just started to think about, okay, why don't we just make like this? Number one. So number one here without this. So how many angles does this shape has? That's the shape. And there is only one angle here, right?
Yes.
So that's one angle. What about number two? You have two angles here. Number three, three angles. Number four, number five. And he started to make shapes according to the angles they made. And later they will change it into the numbers and numerals we are using today in the English ones. That's why if you went to, for example, and you open the file, let's see, Microsoft Word file, for example, okay, and you started writing numbers, okay, any sort of numbers, okay, all of these numbers, if we went here, file, options, advanced, down, 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 you will find out the numerals you are using right now are what? The numerals.
Arab.
The Arabic. If I change them into the Hindi one and I click this, that's the Hindi numerals. And for the strange bit of our culture, we Arabs right now, we use the Hindi numerals. And the people in Europe, America, and elsewhere, and even in India, they are using the Arab numerals. So we Arabs, we had our own numerals, okay, but later people adapted our own numerals, and we adapted the Hindi numerals. Strange, right? Okay. So once again, the Arab, they started to absorb ideas from other cultures, like the numerals, for example. People started to take the Arab numerals, and Arab themselves started to take other numerals in their mathematics. So, extensive also of trade and money economy led Muslims to pioneer new business practices. They created partnerships, bought and sold on credit. Okay, like I don't have money, so I'll give you the merchandise, and later you can give me the money. Formed banks to change currency, and also invented the ancestor of today's bank, cheeks. In fact, the English word cheek comes from the Arab word sheikh. Okay, I have a sheikh, like you sign paper for me, and this paper is a sum of money. So in the previous of the Islamic people, they use it as a contract. Okay, it's also mentioned in the Holy Quran, right? If you have a debt between both of you, you have to sign it in the Holy Quran. Okay, so once you have any debt between, like I put something from Abdurrahman and I don't have enough money, so I sign him a paper that I owe him some money. So that's the former shape of shape. Bankers also developed a sophisticated system of accounting. Yeah, and that's why you find that the Muslim accounters are best, because they are just well accustomed to that idea. They also opened branches of banks and all over the major cities, so that a sheikh written in any part of the Islamic civilization, if it was written in Baghdad, for example, okay, might be cashed in Cairo. These economic ideas eventually spread to Europe, where they influenced and the rise of the modern economic system. Okay, so Muslim people, they just okay, right now I'm having merchandise from Egypt and I'm moving that to India. Okay, and the man in India, he doesn't have money right now, so he writes me a check, and once I go back, for example, to Morocco, okay, I can cash this check. There is no problem in this. Okay, and nowadays actually we are still using the same principle. So, any questions so far? Anyone didn't understand anything?
No, thank you.
All right, grade 9, I'm just moving at a low pace. I don't need to just take a lot of information. Okay, so if you do not understand anything with my low pace, just tell me and I can repeat again. And that's gonna be it for today, guys, and have a nice day and see you tomorrow.